They were born into chains, their names were stolen, their families were torn apart, their languages were forbidden, their labor was demanded, their bodies owned, and their futures stolen before they even had a chance to dream. And yet, today, some of the richest, most powerful black people on earth come from those exact bloodlines. How does a story that begins in slavery end with billion-dollar empires? How does a person pushed to the very bottom of society rise to the very top? And what does that say about human resilience, ambition, and determination? This is not just a story about wealth. It is a story about survival. It is a story about hope that refuses to die. It is about the extraordinary lengths humans will go to protect their dreams, even when the world seems determined to crush them. Slavery was never just about physical labor. It was about control. It was about breaking the mind before the body. It was about convincing people that they were nothing, that their lives did not matter, that dreaming was dangerous. Education was illegal. Curiosity was punished. Loving your family openly could cost you everything. The goal was clear: erase identity, erase heritage, erase hope. But something unexpected happened. Even in chains, people resisted. They whispered stories in the dark. They taught children letters in secret. They passed down skills, songs and traditions that the world told them to forget. They believed in a future they might never live to see. Ask yourself this: why would someone protect tomorrow when today is full of pain? Because survival isn't just staying alive. Survival is believing. Survival is passing down strength. Survival is refusing to let your spirit be erased. When slavery officially ended, freedom did not arrive with fairness. There was no land, no money, no protection. Formerly enslaved people were released into a world that still wanted them powerless. Chains were replaced by laws. Plantations were replaced by sharecropping. Whips were replaced by fear. Freedom came with a warning: you're free, but you are alone. And still, black families kept moving forward. They built churches when banks shut their doors. They built schools when education was denied. They built businesses even knowing they could be burned out overnight. They saved pennies when dollars were impossible. Every generation pushed forward a little more than the last. Now imagine this: a child is born more than a century later. That child's great-great-grandparents were enslaved. There is no inheritance, no family wealth, no safety net, only stories of endurance. That child grows up and becomes a billionaire. Sounds impossible, right? Curious to find out all the answers? Stick with us until the end. There are some captivating insights and surprises waiting just for you. Don't miss out on the journey. Let's talk about Oprah Winfrey. Oprah was born in extreme poverty in rural Mississippi. Her family history traces directly back to slavery. She grew up surrounded by trauma, abuse, neglect, and instability. For many, that kind of childhood would have defined them for life. But not Oprah. She learned to survive emotionally. She learned to listen. She learned to turn her pain into empathy, her voice into influence. Millions of people saw themselves in her story. Millions felt seen, heard, and understood because she refused to disappear. That connection turned into power. That power turned into ownership. And that ownership turned into billions. But here's the deeper truth most people overlook. Oprah's story is built on generations of survival. If her ancestors had not endured, her story would never exist. Every success story begins with someone who refused to give up, when giving up would have been understandable. Now think about Robert F. Smith. His ancestors were enslaved. His parents were teachers who believed education was the one true key to freedom. They had no wealth, no inheritance, but they had belief and discipline. Robert mastered math, engineering, and finance. He walked into industries where very few black people were welcomed, and he dominated them. Today, he is one of the richest black men in America. From ancestors punished for learning to read, to a man who built wealth through knowledge. What changed? Education became power instead of punishment. Knowledge became leverage. Then there's Jay-Z. Born in public housing in Brooklyn, raised in an environment shaped by violence, drugs, and broken systems, a place where survival mattered more than dreaming. His ancestors were enslaved. His neighborhood was treated like a modern plantation. Profits leaving, people forgotten. So how did he escape? He studied power. Jay-Z didn't just make music. He studied contracts, ownership, and control. He realized that talent without ownership leads to exploitation. So he owned his masters. He built companies. He invested in other businesses. His wealth didn't come from rapping. It came from understanding leverage. From chains to contracts. From survival to strategy. These stories aren't rare miracles. They are patterns. Look at Madam C.J. Walker. Born to parents who had been enslaved. Orphaned at a young age. working as a washerwoman to survive. She struggled, failed, lost everything, yet she never stopped. Then she noticed something important. Black women were ignored, so she built something for them. She sold hair products door to door. She trained other women. She created a network that spread across the country. She didn't just create wealth, she created opportunity. She became the first self-made female millionaire in American history. Not because she was lucky, but because she solved a problem. Ask yourself, what happens when people stop asking to be included and start building their own future? Now think about Michael Jordan. His parents grew up under segregation. His ancestors were enslaved. He had extraordinary talent, but talent alone does not create billionaires. Ownership does. Jordan understood branding, control, and longevity. He partnered wisely. He thought beyond the court. Today, his name is not just remembered, it is an empire, from plantations to personal brands. But let's be honest. For every black billionaire, there are millions still struggling. Slavery did not disappear, it evolved. Segregation, redlining, systemic oppression, wealth gaps, all are modern forms of chains. Opportunity is still unequal. The starting line is still unfair. So why tell these stories? Because they destroy a dangerous lie. The lie that black success is rare, the lie that oppression permanently breaks people, the lie that history decides destiny. These stories prove something powerful. Resilience can be inherited. Strength travels through generations. Survival itself is genius. Think about it. What mindset does it take to survive slavery, survive segregation, survive discrimination, and still believe your children deserve more? That belief is the real inheritance. Many black billionaires today are not just accumulating wealth, they are reinvesting it, funding schools, paying off student debt, supporting black businesses, creating opportunities where none existed. Why? Because they understand something slavery tried to erase. Progress is collective, from being owned to owning companies, from being silenced to controlling the media, from being excluded to building institutions. This story isn't about glorifying money, it's about honoring survival. It's about recognizing that every success stands on the shoulders of ancestors who endured the unimaginable, so their descendants could stand taller. So the next time someone says, slavery was a long time ago, ask them this. If it's truly over, why is its impact still visible in every neighborhood, every city, every system in this country? And when you see a black billionaire, don't just see luxury, see history. See pain, see sacrifice, see generations who refused to disappear. Because these stories aren't about money, they are about being unbreakable. And here's the question that should echo in all of us. If people who started with nothing but chains could rise to billions, what else is possible when the world finally becomes fair? And the story isn't finished. Every day, there are more stories being written, more people are rising, learning, building, investing, creating. They are the modern descendants of people who survived the impossible. They are living proof that even when history is cruel, humanity persists. Even when the world says you are nothing, your legacy can say you are everything. These stories are a reminder that no system can fully erase ambition, intelligence, and determination, that dreams can survive oppression, that resilience can be inherited. From cotton fields to boardrooms, from chains to corporations, from silence to influence, from survival to strategy. And every new success adds another chapter, because the truth is this: what started as survival has become power. What began as endurance has become an influence. What began as hope has become an empire. And if they could rise from slavery to billions, imagine what could happen if barriers were truly removed. The story is still being written, and the best chapters might still be ahead. Would you like it? Hit the like button and subscribe to our channels for more interesting and informative videos.